to write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this last.
I don't know if the earth is painted.
That was the great sounds of Watson with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, Easy Bluez is in the building. Easy Bluez, you are better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on Behind the Brand?
Ladies and gentlemen, today is an incredible day. Today is the day where we get to sit down with such an incredibly amazing visual eye and mind, such an incredible heart and soul. This man, while directing children on a music video, took the time out of his life and actually broke down what he was doing and gave them a behind the scenes aspect. This man, when we were like, hey, Champagne needs to shoot a music video, we hit him up. We bothered him with so many different creative ideas and then actually flipped the entire script because our producer changed the song. And he still came at us with love, compassion, and understanding, and delivered something that brings tears to people's eyes and that warms our hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, the most amazing human being I happen to know, someone that I love to just wrap my arms around and give the biggest hug in the world. Rick DiMichele, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's it going? Dad, thank you for all those kind words, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, man, well, you know, we mean every single one of them, brother, and you really are an incredible human being, and we're happy and blessed to have you on here.
I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I would have my video up right now. I'm sorry for everyone that's watching. I'm in the city right now. I had to do a last minute trip to New York, but once I stop driving, I'll be able to click in on the video and hop on the call like full focused. But I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you so much.
Definitely, and it's. I also think it's a little bit of like, I think it's awesome that, you know, the visual artist, there's no photo. Like, to me, that's poetry right there. Like, it's so beautiful you can't see it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually get in trouble a lot for not taking as many pictures as I probably should. So most people usually don't really know what I look like until they've either worked with me or they, you know, run into me at an event or something like that. But it's in my business, it's kind of almost faceless unless you know, like I said, worked with me in some way, shape, or form or another. But they definitely come at me for that sometimes. Like, you know, you got to be more visual. You know, it's just, that's a photographer that doesn't like to take pictures of himself. It's really weird. I take horrible selfies. Ask anyone. Hand me your phone to try to take a picture, and I'm terrible at it. You hand me a camera, I can make magic. Cell phone, I don't know what it is. Something about a phone. I turn into like grandpa. Like, what is this? I start tilting my glasses. I'm like trying to push buttons. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Something went wrong.
Got to get updated with the times, man. A lot of iPhones and Androids these days are just as powerful as the camera.
No, they really are. It's making it's supposed to make my job easier, and then on some occasions it makes my job a little bit more difficult. But you know, for the most part, they definitely come in handy. I have a lot of friends that upgraded from the manual to the mechanical gimbals and stuff, and I tried. I guess because I learned on the manual, I do a lot of wrist motion, so my wrist motion interacted the mechanical gears, so then my gimbal would start flipping all over the place because I'm trying to do what the gimbal's supposed to do. It was pretty annoying. So sometimes catching up with the times can be a little rough. I know I have to, you know, like everything, you got to adapt. You know.
That is true. That is true. But there is this great saying though, Rick, if it's not broken, don't fix it. If you keep doing what you're doing now and nothing's going wrong, and the fact you say you only have out one picture of yourself, I tend to think, especially what Dustin says, probably your personality is what's selling more customers. Probably your worth ethic is selling more customers for you, bro. Because word of mouth, that's the end of the day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. My father's business was built on word of mouth, so it's kind of something that's more of like a learned trait. But yeah, I've always found it is a little bit easier. Plus, trying to deal with commercials in corporate America semi-terrify me just because there's so much red tape. So much red tape.
But just tell us about your journey, though, man. What made you want to create? Derek?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you really good,
Yeah,
man.
there you are.
Your audio is really good. Yeah.
And we went by a bunch of buses. I think the signal cut out. All these tall buildings in Manhattan. Yeah, I'm heading into Brooklyn
city, yeah.
last minute.
Head to Brooklyn.
I was supposed to already be there, but I was supposed to already be there, and then we ended up sitting in an extra hour of traffic because we all know how that Manhattan ride goes.
Yeah.
It takes you like 3 hours to get 60 miles when it should take you an hour.
Exactly. So, what Prestige was asking was, what brought you to say, hey, I want to create, I want to do, artistic things.
Absolutely, man.
I guess over time, my actual doing this over 10 years ago, I just had a lot of friends in the entertainment industry. So I have a lot of friends who are either they're artists, musicians, or they're models, or they're like brokers, halfway guys. And I was good at plugging. I was good at plugging people, and I would always take pictures growing up, but they were Polaroids and standard stuff you take with friends. Nothing like what I do now. And over time, the photographers I were working with were getting busier and busier, and I still needed to update the models that were coming through the door all the time. And I just picked up one of the extra cameras lying around the studio and started shooting around with the few girls, which actually really helped, because I know a lot of photographers when they first start out, you have to, you're booking girls and you're trying to build your portfolio. But for me, because I was trying to get these girls work and we were trying to update their portfolios, it really helped me kind of fine tune some of my abilities in the beginning. And then I started doing fashion swimsuits, working with small brands and anyone I could think of, anyone that I come across that needed media in some form of way. But try to.
One more time, Rick. I'm just very sorry, man. Just going a little bit in and out.
Big commercial style, sorry about that.
Yeah, we're losing you a bit.
But, you're losing me a bit?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
How about now?
Nice. Still in and out, brother.
Yeah.
Is that better, guys?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Right now, yeah.
It's a little bit better. There we go.
Yeah.
So what I was saying before is that as I was learning, it kind of grew from there. And I'd help build the models' portfolios, and it would help me kind of learn different techniques, or if I had a lighting style that I wanted to practice, sometimes it would actually come in handy for another gig, because I'd ask the girls, hey, who needs an update? I'm like, oh, I got my hair done. Cool. Come on in for some photos. I'd update their portfolio, and then I'd practice some lighting stuff for my next gig that I had coming up in a day or two. So this way I wasn't wasting time on set, finding ways to make most of my time useful. And then, I got my mentors, and I would try to find people and make myself useful. I'm not going to ask somebody for help or advice free. Nothing's free in this world. So I figure out what do I have? What do they need? I go through their portfolio, do a little digging, see what they're missing, or, if they're lacking something that I feel like can help them in some sort of way. and you do like a barter system. I did that a lot coming up in the business, but it actually helped because that helped me create the network that I have today.
Right. It doesn't stop, huh? The networking. It doesn't stop, especially with your business.
I learn
you keep on barring every day.
Yeah, every day I'm learning something new. Every couple of days, a new piece of equipment comes out, or there's a new transition, there's a new effect. Right. There's always something new coming out, and it's just nonstop learning. And I know growing up when I was first going to school, I'm like, okay, well, I'll learn this stuff and that'll be it. And it definitely wasn't. I mean, I had mentors for about 8 years before I even went to school.
Wow.
Just because it got to a point where the mentors couldn't really answer the questions anymore because they themselves didn't go to school. They learned, but I figured if I'm going to learn from somebody, I want to learn from somebody that's living off of what they're doing.
Of course.
Yeah. I'd work for them where I was carrying bags downstairs, just standing there holding things, basically just and after a while, it just got to a point where I just had to go to school. There was no other way around it because there was no other way to learn, but it definitely helped because it allowed me to learn. It allowed me to learn rules because I had questions on why my settings should be a certain way, and it was like, well, this is a good area because you can get editing done, and this is balanced. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I get that, but why have these things the way different shutter speeds and aperture settings, like they all come into play, and I didn't really understand it that well. I was just going by eye, and I like to watch. I watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of TV shows. So I'm thinking in my head, okay, well, I look at a scene and I'm like, okay, well, where does this remind me of? Oh, it reminds me of this movie. Okay, well, what angles did they use in that movie? How is their compression and their shots? And I try to match that and try to get that same vibe. And it got to a point where I couldn't get the right look that I wanted, but I also didn't understand the foundation and the fundamentals either. Once I learned that, it allowed me to kind of bend the rules and play with light and do what I wanted to do. I just didn't understand how.
Right.
There's one thing doing, but there's another thing of actually knowing what you're talking about. You wanted to learn more of the terminology of what you were doing. You didn't just it's the action, but then you want to explain to other people because you're learning from all these people. You're a sponge. You want to be a teacher as well yourself. Also, you want to bring your knowledge to other people. You just want to keep it to yourself. I totally understand your point of view right now, Rick.
Yeah, I've actually had a mentor of mine one time got really upset with me because he had caught me at a group shoot, and he looked at a few of the photographers that were there, and he's like, I know you set that up for them. He's like, they didn't set any of that up. You helped them. Like, I could tell. He's like, it's your angle, it's your lighting. Verbatim, it's like a carbon copy of your work. And I'm teaching them something. So, he asked me a favor, and I showed it to him. And he's like, no, you charge for that, this and that. I don't know. I didn't get charged for stuff. So, for me, if somebody's going to ask me something and I don't feel like it's really going to hinder my performance at all, or it's going to take away from what I need to do or what I'm getting done, I see no issue in answering the question. I have a lot of photographers that ask me questions and shoot me messages, and they bounce their work off of me, and I help them. I try to critique it the best I can or give them ideas to maybe help, brush it up if it needs to be, or, I applaud them because they're learning, but their work is amazing. And I try to let them know that, because you're your worst critic. So you can take a picture and like, this is horrible. And you'll have like 20 or 30 people like, this is amazing. But you're like, no, I don't like this. This is this. So, they'll come to me and I'm like, no, like, you got this right. I like it here. Probably adjust a little bit of this, and, but it's nice, and a lot of people, they've always told me that they'll ask people, and some people can be pretty mean. When I try to ask for help. When I asked for help, some people were there, a lot weren't. But the ones that were there, they'll always hold a special place because most of my work, a lot of it is pulled from all the people that I've learned from, all the people that I looked up to. A few of the people that I looked up to on YouTube, I was able to get out and actually mentor with them and spend a weekend at their homes on a project with them on one of their personal projects. And it allowed me to kind of like get behind the lens because that's, for me, I'm a visual learner. So I wanted. I would want to take their class, but I know in a class setting, like they're teaching everyone in the room, and I'm like, that's great, but you're not actually working, you're teaching, so you're not in the full like creative mode. So if I catch them on a personal project, they just need help. They're not trying to teach anybody. I already understand fundamentals. I know how setups are. I just want to see how they read a room. How do they read light? Where do they get them? Why did they put them there? You know, why not put the subject over here? Why would you put them over here? And there's so many different angles and compositions that come into play that I never saw. And working with them and seeing how they read the area allows me to do the same thing. And now I do that. I can go places, you know, but that's also experience. I know my gear. I know what my gear can handle. I can walk into a room without needing my gear. And I know what I'm going to need, what I'm not going to need. And
Rick,
that definitely
I feel
helps
like I'm in a
time down.
classroom right now, Rick, and no disrespect because we're on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime with the big old smile on his face, Long Island Rays, Elm City made, EZ Bluez is in the building. Rick, continue your story, brother. I'm learning so much. Go right ahead.
But it was nice. There was a couple people that I did learn from that kind of taught me like what not to do. Which our industry does have its dark sides as well as its, you know, fun side.
Right. Of course.
You know, trying to always keep like a level head and you know, make sure everyone's having a good time.
Oh yeah.
And I've always found that if I can get the client, usually time is important. So, you know, you don't want to waste anything. A lot of times I can do something in an hour, maybe an hour and a half, but I might do it for 3 hours because I'll show up and the artist will look tense or the model will look like they're having a rough morning. And then I don't want to be like, all right, let's go. In 15 minutes, you got to get ready to shoot. No, okay, I'll talk to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we'll talk a little bit. We'll, you know, talk about the day and whatnot, just random things to get their mind out of wherever they're at. You know, kind of forget about it for a second, and otherwise, it's going to show up in all the images. You'll see it right on their face.
Yeah,
you can tell when someone's annoyed or someone doesn't want to be somewhere. So you know, you want to try to make sure that they're comfortable all the way around. So by the time they leave, it didn't feel like a photo shoot. It felt like they were just hanging out with a friend or, you know, something like that.
What are some of the tricks of the trade, Rick? How you get those customers to relax, you know, to loosen up, you know, to make them feel like it's a safe environment?
Well,
actually, I'm gonna chime in there for a second.
You want to chime in there for a second? Go right up, please.
Yeah, as for someone who has been on set with Rick, and again been on set with children with Rick, and
of course,
as anyone can tell you, I think Ralph Cramden, I forgot the name of the actor, says, you know, never ever work with children because they're very difficult. They can be difficult. And my guys are high energy. We know this. I talk about it all the time. But Rick actually sat down and had conversations. You know, was actually talking about the equipment that he had, and you know what to do next, and you know how he wants to get onto the bicycle and all that. Jackie Gleason, thank you, I appreciate that, Harry. It is what it is. You know, I'm still drinking my morning coffee, so give me a second.
Man, Harry was a lifeline, bro. Harry was a good lifeline.
Definitely, I love it. And you know, it's amazing to see, because when you actually see Rick, he is an incredibly powerful presence when he walks into a room, even when it's an outdoor room. So I know that, you know, some people could kind of shy away from that, but it's his energy that is so calming and relaxing. And he's like, we're just going to do this and we're going to have a good time and we're going to move forward. And it really does put you 100% at ease. I personally do not like the way that I look in anything, even on this little camera kind of thing there. So even doing like a video shoot or something like that, I'm like, I want to be in this as little as possible. Like, and they're like, well, you know, the whole thing is kind of based around you and your family. So you're going to have to be in it. I was like, nah, okay. You know, okay. But Rick's like, bro, you got this. It's not a problem. So I can tell you, there's something about your energy and your personality, Rick, that is so calming and beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, working with kids is tough. I did for a while. It's funny. I did some work at JCPenney Portraits, and prior to that, I used to do like infants, but it wasn't it wasn't around. It wasn't around like most children. It was usually newborns under a year, or it was somebody that was 11 to 15. And then it wasn't until I worked at JCPenney's where I was working with children. I was like between the ages of like 2 and 9, where it can be rough. And a lot of times with some of the jobs, you know, it's a time limit because it is a business. It's a corporate business, so it's a time limit. I can't take the time that I normally do, and that was one thing that the manager used to get on me a little bit because I would take a little bit longer than everybody else, but it was just because it was, you know, dealing with a 3-year-old. You know, trying to get a 3-year-old to pose for 15 minutes. It's can be a little challenging. You got to have a good amount of patience, and the job time definitely helped build my patience level so that I'm able to kind of just roll with it. Like, yeah, okay, you know. Even the ones where I used to shoot children before, there was never poses. I would bring them to a park or something and let the kid have fun and run around, and here I am running behind him, chasing him with a camera, trying to get the cool smile shots and whatnot. But you know, it takes time. Definitely takes time. I actually had a lot of fun with the crew. They were really good on set. They listened well. They were very excited to be there, which was nice. And they asked very inquisitive questions. They were curious, and it wasn't like an empty curious. They were actually genuinely curious, which I like. I like people that ask questions like that because I will answer. And it's nice that they were able to, you know, that actually grasp some of it. Some of them, they kind of gave me that side look like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds good.
Well, just so you know, that following Monday in school, because one of my boys takes videography, you were the talk of the class, and it was all about the permit aspect. When you told them, you know, oh, you have this, so you don't put it down because you know, sometimes you need a permit if you're making it have tripod contact. So that's why you have this hand thing. And he went on with his video class for like 30 minutes, just talking about the particulars of that and why it was important. So you brought some punk rock to 6th grade, man. So
nice.
Yeah,
nice. I love it. Yeah, no, I actually learned that. I almost learned that rule the hard way a few times coming to Manhattan when I first started. And I was taking out my tripod. He's like, you got a permit for that? And I was like, huh? Because I was half setting it up. And he was like, you got a permit for that? And I was like, no. And he's like, you need one. Yeah, you can park right here. Yeah, you just can't block this one. But don't even think of that's their sign, really? I want that. Somebody has a sign in front of their driveway that says, don't even think of parking. They need that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You need that.
Definitely.
That's great.
Don't even think of parking here. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, with the kids, man, that's great that he was able to learn that. Like I said, I almost learned the hard way in the city. They were definitely gonna they should definitely they were gonna definitely write me up pretty bad. They were waiting for me. I think the cop kind of felt bad because I definitely looked a little green. So he kind of came over and was like, you're going to get a ticket for that. He's like, you need a permit. And I'm like, oh, no one told me that. And he's like, yeah, you can Google it. And I'm like, it is the age of the internet. You're right. I could Google it. You're right. But outside of that, though, that was how I learned originally. I've had some close calls as a director. That, you know, it's over 10 years, so I can talk about it. But, you know, there were some times I did some guerrilla shooting that I cut it pretty close. And, you know, I wanted a look. I wanted a certain gritty style. I wanted a feel for it. And, you know, some of the areas, the ones that I wanted didn't have, you know, they weren't like an actual, it was like a warehouse, you know, but I wanted it was supposed to be like a Fight Club type scene. So we ended up going to this warehouse and we filled it with about 25, 30 extras, which I honestly didn't even think we were going to show because you know how it is with music videos. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to show up. And no one shows up.
And then everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was a specific scene with the fight where he had to like choke slam some guy almost through the floor. So we had to bring like a mattress with us. So I had to shoot it in pieces and stages.
Right.
And it just looked so bad when the cops showed up because it was, you know, it was a bunch of like guys, a couple girls, and like a mattress and a guy with a camera. And they're like, what the hell is going on here? They're like, no, it's a fight scene, I swear. And they're like, yeah. they're like, they're pulling out their ticket book. They're like, where's the director? And they look at me, and everyone looks at me, and I'm like, the director actually went for coffee. I'm the camera guy. That's his bag over there, because it was one of my empty like tripod bags. Like, that's his bag there. This is our stuff. He's like, they're like, well, you need to leave, and we're gonna hold on to his stuff because we want to talk to him when he gets back. I'm like, well, he was going to grab coffee. So they kicked everyone out, and I was the last one to leave with a friend of mine. And I'm sitting there looking. I'm like, man, I hope they don't make me stay. And I ended up just leaving. I felt bad that I lied to him, but I really didn't want that ticket. That would have been a big one. But I feel like the cops probably stayed there for a while waiting for the director, only to realize that they let me go. I feel like they probably were pretty pissed about that afterwards. But, I mean, it worked. I saw it in a movie, and I rolled with it. I thought it would work.
Yeah.
I honestly thought they were going to look at me like, yeah, okay, buddy. Give me your license. And they were like, really? And I was like, yeah, he said he'd be right back. I don't know where he went. We can't even do anything. He's not here. And I just kind of acted, pissed off that he was wasting my time. And, then they kind of just, they were like, okay, yeah, we'll get him. I'm like, all right, bye. So, definitely had some close calls with this job sometimes. But, yeah, I didn't want that one. Man. There was 30 extras in that warehouse? No way.
No.
I know that would have been at least like a 3 or 4 figure ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
And hey, it cost you like a jacket and a camera bag, right? Cool.
Yeah, literally, yeah. It cost me a jacket and like a camera bag, and I think I lost like one tripod stand, but it was one of those like cheap ones that I got off Amazon that I've had forever. So I was like, well, yeah, guess you're gonna have to hold on to his stuff. And I just packed up my camera, the rest of my stuff, and just left. It's like, I just hope they don't say, excuse me, sir. That's all I was waiting for. As I'm leaving, they're like, excuse me, sir. And I was like, shit.
Taki mushrooms.
I forgot.
Taki mushrooms.
Taki mushrooms.
Taki mushrooms, yes.
The taki mushrooms.
Yes, there we go. But
gotcha.
They definitely appreciate that. Thank you. I have to watch myself.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I was telling you earlier.
I know. That's why I'm sitting back. So I'm sitting back. I'm able to add some emphasis for you. I'm like your Flavor Flav right now.
There we go.
Flavor Flav.
That works.
I'm gonna get like a big camera clock. I'll get a camera clock to wear on my neck, and it'll be great. Oh, yeah. There you are.
We got him.
Yeah.
Hey.
We finally parked.
There you go. That's awesome. Good to see your smiling face, brother.
Thank you.
Now, what I really love about your story and your journey is it's all about the actual paying dues aspect. You went in, you traded what you could do to learn new techniques, but then on top of that, you went to school. And a lot of people will do that in the reverse aspect, where they'll go to school first and try to make those connections. But what I see as, and first from hearing your story, what I see as the real focal point is you did it in reverse. Because I have definitely been to a lot of like recording studios, stuff like that, where they said, oh yeah, don't even worry about going to the recording school. Just go show up at a recording studio and pick up a broom, and you're going to learn just as much. But there's also those extra techniques that you would have to learn. I know a lot of musicians that can't read music, but those that understand music theory are able to take you into a different direction. That's kind of like what works. And again, shameless plug for Shane Penguin, but that works. What works with Shane Penguin is like Kenny and I understand music theory, and John and Tristan also do, but Tristan comes about it from a little more like, I'm going to break every single rule in music theory. John's like, we're going to try to keep it, where the rules just kind of meet, and then Kenny and I are like, we're going to make sure the rules aren't 100% broken, and that's like what works for us. And you do that all by yourself, and you learn that. You're like, hey, now that these people just telling me that it can't be like this isn't good enough. I need to know the why. And I think that's really important in your brand. And I think it's really important for those that are building brands is get the knowledge and figure out the why. That's a huge, huge lesson. So I really want to applaud you for that. And I also want to talk about now you have a clothing line as well.
Yeah, that was something that I had put together. Somebody was telling me that I needed like advertisement and promotion, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm paying to be on like the radio and putting ads out there. I'm sure that that'll get majority of work, but probably about like 60% of my work is the modeling industry. So I deal with a lot of variety of different types of models. So it definitely, having the clothing line definitely helps. It's like they're like walking billboards. People that wear the brand, and I try to create casual comfort wear. So I try to source out soft materials, different textures, because I'm a texture person. So I have personal health issues that I need to have very specific types of thread. So I need soft comfort for my skin. So I like to have that. I know a lot of people well. So I try to source out stuff like that, and I do casual wears because in our industry we're always dressed up. Everywhere we go, we got to dress somewhere. We got to go do this, and if we're not in our dressed finest, we're usually in gym clothes or sweats. Because we're busy doing a million other things. We just don't have time. So I found out that doing more like casual wear helped because Panama hoodies, some sweats, a t-shirt, tank tops, you name it, they'll always wear it. And it's great because it works. It's advertising. People will see it. Oh, who's that? Oh, you shoot with Rick too? There have been models that have run into each other. They're both wearing my brand and realize they both shot with me. And then they become like, oh, wow, it's like, it's a way for someone to connect. So I thought that's always pretty cool. But it's definitely nice sometimes seeing my brand from people never interacted with. Be in a mall somewhere and I see somebody wearing one of my shirts, and they don't know what I look like, so I'll see them walk by and I'm like, oh, it's so cool. I'd want to stop them and take a picture, but I feel like that'd be really weird, so I don't say anything. I just kind of smile to myself like, that's awesome.
Well, I have to tell you, man, it is something that is super awesome to see and do. And just so like the audience, I'll paint a little bit of a picture of that as well. It happens with us all the time. There was one time we were at the cellar at Treadwell after the M. Dowdy show. And there was a lady there, and Pete, the owner, started talking about Shane Penguin. She's like, oh, I feel like I know those guys. In fact, I think one of them follows me on Instagram. And I looked at her, I was like, oh, you mean Easy Bluez? She's like, yeah. She's like, oh, you know him? I was like, I am him. That would be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it gets really, really interesting. And the funny thing is that's really how, other than your brother, obviously, that's really how I started to realize who you were, was through your clothing line. And then I thought like you just had a clothing line and you hired a photographer to take these incredible shots of all these very beautiful people. And again, we're G-rated, all these beautiful people. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then Henny, the drummer, was like, oh no, dude, he's amazing. And like when we're ready, he's the person we need to use. So the minute you were like, hey, I have this thing, I was like, hey, I'm totally in. Because I'm also like someone who 100% believes in, if you are actually supporting your friends, if you're actually supporting independent, you do it without a hookup. Like if you're a true supporter, you're not asking for that, like, hey, can I get $2? Or like, this is what it is. If we can do it, we can do it. And if not, I will save up the pennies and we'll do it at another point in time. And I think that's very amazing. And it was awesome that you were able to, we just happened to link up where everything matched up perfectly. And now we have to save our shekels for the next one.
Man, yeah. That came out. I was watching it the other day because I was posting it on Instagram, and I was watching it, and I'm like, it all happened at the same place, but it all cohesively flowed together so nicely that it didn't even, it looked totally planned. Because I know last night, like you said, we changed it. Yep. I actually had I did a lot of work with like YouTubers a couple of years ago before COVID. A lot of that kind of calmed down because of COVID. But I'm a little disappointed. They closed YouTube studios. I used to go there all the time. I loved it there. And then it became YouTube brand studios where they were only doing commercial stuff. Once COVID hit, they shut it down. Which I'm really disappointed because that's where amazing. But I've had that before with some people where I wouldn't even see the location yet. get the song the day before. And I had some clients in Boston where they would they all lived in different areas. 2 of them lived out of state, and 2 of them lived in Boston. So they would fly in once a month, and they would all get together in a studio, and I'd have 7 hours to film 2 videos, if I can 3 in the same studio space, but none of them can look the same. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah. So
Word.
I feel like over time I've come to thrive in almost organized chaos. And it seemed to become my niche, but it definitely can be. I feel like it helps because a lot of times, you've seen it, you be on set and the next thing you know, you're freaking out because you're not sure what's going to happen. I feel like if I freak out, then everyone freaks out. I'm calm. Everyone's like, I'm freaking out.
But
It's
I'm
like,
cool,
it's
calm,
fine.
and
We'll take care of
relaxed on
this.
WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island Rays, Elm City made EZ Bluez is in the building. Rick, tell me more about the unorganized chaos in WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, no, man. It's just it gets crazy because if I freak out, then everyone does. So I gotta always try to remain calm because there are times where I'll look at a shot or I get to a place and we can't use it, or I gotta think on the fly and come up with another angle, and I'll confidently say like, yeah, we got this, we'll take care of it. But in my head, I'm like, I'm questioning myself, and at that point, sometimes that can get a little scary. But at the end of the day, usually most of the time it comes out pretty well. Thankfully, a lot of the people that I work with, they're all amazing. As well as the band. You guys are all amazing artists, so it definitely makes my job a little easier.
Now, we've obviously hinted that you've made videos. We've talked about it a million times, right? What is the transition from photographer to videographer?
I'd say angles. For me, is the equipment is wildly different. So while stuff that I do street fashion, or I'm doing something more controlled in the studio, or I'm shooting on a beach, all that equipment, every different area requires a different form of equipment. So when I'm doing stuff in photography, I might have 3 to 5 different setups just for photography. Then when it comes to video, I have a whole other set of equipment and procedures, even upkeep on each side of videography and photography. It's a lot. It's very expensive. But like anything, it's a job. You got to upkeep. You got to keep doing it. You got to make the adjustments where you can. But for me, the biggest difference, equipment, and personal. But it's equipment, procedures, and stuff. It's definitely it can be a roller coaster sometimes.
Right. Oh, definitely. No, and it's amazing, and like I'm starting to see more and more photographers jump into like videography and different things like that. In fact, the guest we had on early this year, your Visual J, right?
Jason?
Yeah, he's making that transition as well, and also came up very similar, where it came through paying the dues aspect, going and volunteering where necessary, working with the models. So I love the symmetry in both of your guys' stories. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Hey,
Definitely
Rick,
interesting.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, you ever thought about writing?
Writing? I actually.
Oh.
I've some things here and there. My problem is I'm not really that keen on like English literature, so punctuations and stuff like that can be a little off for me. Thankfully, my youngest brother, is actually a writer. He went to school for writer to be a writer, English lit, and all that stuff. So sometimes I like to bounce stuff off of him when I can, because he's busy too, But it's crazy. I do the photography and video. Other brother does music, and the other one's a writer. Does scripts, and grant writing, name it.
That's awesome.
Trying to
So with
corner the market.
all this creativity combined, you feel all the siblings can make an awesome product?
Yeah, if we can get along long enough.
It's like a dysfunctional Voltron. Just
Yeah. Each of us are extremely strong-willed in our own way, you know. So sometimes we won't want to budge creatively. We're like, no, we're not doing that. that can sometimes cause a little bit of a rift. My brothers were actually working on a script with a couple of actor friends of ours. So, but that'll hopefully get filmed probably sometime next year.
Nice.
That'll be something to look forward to, sure.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Anything your family touches is going to be dope. I know two of the three brothers, so I can't speak on the youngest, but knowing two of the three brothers, I know the creative energy is going to be fantastic. And as long as everyone is getting along, the set is going to be so much fun because you are fun, and the other brother that I know is fun. I've had shenanigans with both of you. So
you don't want to get both of us in a room together. That's it. Yeah, we'll cause trouble.
Well,
in the most
the best ways.
I mean, sometimes you want a little bit of trouble. Sometimes just a little bit of trouble, a little bit.
Yeah, Miguel actually gets confused. Miguel gets confused a lot for Cisco. There'd be times he'd be walking home from school, and Cisco's band, they play a lot on the weekends. So, in the town growing up, people knew who Cisco was. So he'd be walking home sometimes, and people would just like scream at him, like "Cisco, hey!" And he would just look at them confused, like, "Who the hell are you?" And then they would tell Cisco, like, "Why were you looking at me weird? I was calling out to you, and you ignored me." And he's like, "I don't walk. What do you?" They're just like, "Oh, well, then we just yelled at somebody." My friend did that one time. He's got a dark sense of humor, so he was yelling. He was yelling obscenities, but it got a little crazy. Yeah, so my brother was walking with a friend of his, and he thought that guy was really on my brother's.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no!
My friends. That guy.
That's amazing. You're starting to break up a little bit. Yeah. You got a little bit spotty there, but that is such an incredible story, and I love that you all are. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going in and out just a tad bit.
Yeah, you're starting to go in and out, and it looks like your thing froze for a little bit.
Hopefully, we have something. There we go. How about now?
There you are. That's better. There you go. There you are. It's interesting too because we're talking about like the lighting this entire time, and if people are watching the video now that the video's on, there's like the shining sunbeam that like hits your head and then goes like red, blue. So I was like, hey, is he in trouble? I was like, usually when I see that red, blue, and a little bit of white, it means there's an issue, but I don't hear any sirens. That's just the deity shining down upon you with all their glory and love. They're basking you in light, considering you've spoken so amazingly on the necessity of light in visual art. So they're like, we're going to show them exactly what that means right now.
Yeah. I got some nice accent lighting going on here.
You really do. Like it's right there. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. There it is.
Now we talked about the past. We talked about what got you here. What's in the future? What's on? We're coming up to the round point of this. So
yeah,
what's going on? He froze again.
New York traffic.
Exclusive collections. Yeah.
You froze. You froze, brother. All right. So I think the next time, there you go. All right. So instead of talking about the future, because we're actually running, we're just like every other interview, we always, just when we start to get to the good meaty stuff, right? It starts to wrap up. So we're going to give you these last 4 minutes just to get where people can get in contact with you, what's coming up in the future, what you need. All right. This is your time, brother.
If you want to check out my work, Instagram, who is Rick D, and Facebook, Rick DiMichele, DiMichele. That's all my commercial work. I get yelled at for not having a website, but again, the whole word of mouth thing. I've been doing this going on 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't had a website. So I get yelled at a lot for it. When I used to go to YouTube a lot. But yeah, Instagram, who is Rick D? Facebook. Shoot me a message, video, photos. I work with micro content. Somebody's looking to have like a nice picture punch without having to like really break the bank. Always trying to work with everything. Figure out a way to give them the best commercial product I can. I want them to be proud of it. You know me, man. I work with everything. I'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah. No, definitely. And that's really the most amazing thing. And that's really what I want the audience to know. And for all those that are looking, make sure you do check out the Instagram, who is Rick D, or the Facebook, Rick DiMichele. Understand that he is going to work with you. Understand that it is going to be a professional product. Understand that as much love and creativity that you put into your product, giving it and putting it in his hands is something that you definitely want to do, because he's going to give you that same type of love, that same type of respect, and he's going to make it work for you. But like I've said all the time, and it came up in a guitar shop that I grew up in, there was a sign that said, prices may vary as per attitude of customer. Don't go in asking for a handout. Don't go in being mean. Go in, be respectful, be professional, and everyone will be happy. And that's one of the key things in life. Key things. I think I'm going to put that on a shirt. There you go. I'm going to put that on a shirt. I like that. It's going to be a behind the brand shirt. I don't know why it should be a behind the brand shirt, but I feel like we're going to do that. Because we charge nothing. So that's why it's even funnier if it's on one of our shirts.
That works. As long as it's within the margins. As long as it's within the margins.
As long as it's within the margins.
But Rick, we do have about 2 minutes left. So if you just want to promote any future events you got coming within this year, if I can barely speak.
Always at the end with the internet.
Always at the end.
Oh, we're at the end. Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah. No, well, we just needed to know what what you've got coming up, because you keep freezing.
Oh,
and there's always
for the future stuff, right? No, I'm actually transitioning a lot of my work into the arts. I have a couple friends that are they work with like a lot of different types of acrylics, so I'm gonna start dipping into the art scene. I have some ideas for some clothing lines, make them exclusive collections, as well as some collection. So I'm gonna start rounding everything out so that it won't be as publicized. You'll have to kind of go through one of the collections, or you'll have to see it at a show, just because with how easy it is to nowadays, I just got to make it harder to find.
Right.
I think it would be the opposite for some odd reason, making it harder to find me and harder to work with me.
It's that old trick from like dealing with relationships in high school, right? The more you pretended that you weren't interested in that person, the more interested that person became of you.
I think the fact that I don't have
I believe he's frozen.
No one knows to start.
Yeah.
All right, brother. We're wrapping it up right now, man. It's been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure. We love you so much. Thank you for coming on. Rick DiMichele, make sure you check him out on all social medias.
Thank you, brother.
Definitely on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, take care.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just a scout? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the Bluez let this
I
last.
don't know if the earth is painted blue. I don't know if that's really